Welcome back. You're listening to Riddim FM, coming to you live from Kingston, Jamaica. Thank you very much for joining me this morning. And coming up right now is Talk Your Talk. And of course, we have on the line, yes, Dr. Meredith Derby. Good morning. How are you this morning?
Good morning, Mr. Derby. How are you?
Not bad at all. And listeners, I will tell you something. You probably figured a connection already. This is the first time I'm calling her doctor. She don't love the title at all. She's just an ordinary person. She just get her qualifications so that she can perform. So she's not into the titles, but me get her title this morning. Hey, great to have you this morning. So long you take to come on the program. Don't blame it's your fault.
Hi, how are you, Mr. Derby?
Not bad. Now you have joined me in Radioland. Now you have had quite a bit of experience in aviation, the aviation industry. I think at one time you managed an airport, you ran a school, and you have been all over the place for many, many years. And I thought that it would be a good idea to have you here this morning to look at Jamaica. Many years ago, when we started the airline, we were in partnership with other airlines, Air Canada, British Airways, and we took it over. And the good thing about that airline, Air Jamaica, was that it gave the opportunity to young Jamaicans to be equipped in a highly skilled jobs, which made them international. Now you have no airline, none at all. And I don't want anybody to tell me what we couldn't afford it. I worked there, therefore I knew exactly what happened. And I worked in finance, I worked in IT, customer service, so I can give you a very good report. Now, I asked the question, can we have another airline? Should we have another one? The little piece of Jamaica that flies that made us feel so good, which helped to push the culture. When they're going to play, they get your Jamaican food and everything. You're here this morning to give your perspective as to what you think and where we need to go. Dr. Meredith Derby, great to have you this morning.
Okay. Well, Mr. Derby, you asked me a very...
No, you called me Vernon.
All right, Vernon. I think it's an interesting question because I think Jamaica is long overdue to have their own airline. And it is not only one airline or one cargo airline. I think Jamaica has the potential, being a tourist destination and having all these foreign carriers taking your passengers back and forth. It's time for you to be able to tap into that market. Because if you can have almost 10 American flights landing a day in your airports, international airports, why can't you take at least 2 or 3? And I usually say I'm not afraid of airlines in a country.
Yes.
Because you have to understand that there is opportunity for everyone. And it is a big cake or it is a small cake, but everybody can make their own cake. So wealth is something that you can create and not necessarily have to share or fight for the one that is there. And if you take a small island, like a small country like Iceland, they have 6 airlines.
Really? No, man, I didn't hear that. What you said a while ago? Iceland has what?
Iceland have 6 airlines.
But you know what we have a lot of, and other countries can't compete with us. I bet you don't tell us what we have a lot of.
Yeah, I think one...
Minibus. We have a whole heap of minibus.
Well, you have so many shipping companies.
Yes.
Shippers, and you don't have a cargo airline to move your cargo around.
Yes.
I think you shouldn't think about government investing in airlines because that is already out of style. But you can always have private investors to invest in their airlines. Look at our neighbors. Dom Rep just set up a huge airline. So they have all 6 or 7 smaller airlines flying around.
Right.
So I don't think it is something that Jamaica should not even blink about to having other airlines. One thing is important to say, it is a heavily regulated industry.
Yes.
The cargo side usually makes double-digit returns, the airline side can make double-digit returns. If I take, for example, our one of our neighbors have the airline Copa, and
Yeah,
Copa has
Copa.
been trading
That's Panama, right?
on, yes, Panama has been trading on the international market, New York Stock Exchange, and has been before COVID having seen returns of 21%. Um, and I think a lot of time people are afraid of the airline industry because they don't have all the information, they don't do proper research, and they will have to say, okay, if you want to make a millionaire out of a billionaire, give them an airline, which is totally something erroneous
Right.
because not even the biggest investors that have investment in airlines, they don't tell you, but they will tell you, oh, don't invest in airlines because it will make you poor. But what they don't tell you is that they have big, huge sums of investment in other airlines and other air transport activities. Um, I didn't think it should be something Jamaica should hesitate. I think there are some people interested in starting their own airline in Jamaica, and I really encourage them to continue doing what they're doing because Jamaica's tourist product is not even totally exploited and developed yet. So why not using the opportunity to transport some of those tourists back and forth, and also cargo because you need transportation. You want to be an export significant of your sauces, your perishables. So start a cargo airline. I mean, there is opportunity, and it will take some um, regulatory requirements for you to fulfill, but it's not something impossible.
And one thing, I just thought of something. One thing that would happen, my understanding is that we are getting out of the tourist dollar, we're not getting much at all. But if you transport them here, then it means therefore you'll be capturing a bit more of that dollar.
Of course, remember now, we are in an industry here that has 167 billion total GDP for Latin America and
Really?
yes, we have 5.2 million jobs in the region, in the air transport industry alone. So can you imagine if we start to set up? Remember now, since we lost our airline, you mentioned something very important when you started the introduction. You said it will create jobs for the young people, but we were priding ourselves as Jamaicans to have our pilots um, in the world.
Yes.
But Air Jamaica has produced a lot of good pilots, and we don't talk about pilots only because we have to also talk about the engineers, the
Oh,
aircraft
yes.
engineers.
Mm-hmm.
We also have to talk about the flight attendants.
Yeah.
And so those people were earning decent salaries that they could have sent their children to school, pay a beautiful house in Cherry Gardens, and also go to the supermarket. So the spin-off of their, say, their
The income will benefit
is
the country, benefit
significant.
from that.
And
Mm-hmm.
then you have the induced um, spending in the market that is also significant. So I
Yes.
don't think we should not even think twice because air transport is an industry that is contributing significantly to the
Right.
GDP of any country.
And it means, therefore, we were probably just looking. Well, I can tell you, it is not because it was not financially viable per se. We just refused to run the thing properly. And you know why they call it a particular name when they went to certain places. I'm quite aware of what used to happen, why there were claims on the airline all the while. So, what we tend to say now is it is not profitable. We need to listen to what professionals like you who know and study the business have to say. But let me ask you, in moving forward, now, it's clear that probably government will be required to give some incentives or do something, or not just government alone, but tell me what is required for us to move in that direction. Because if we don't, if we don't move up into the high-tech world, information technology, the airline business, it is my opinion we will continue to be hewers of wood and carriers of water.
I totally agree because you mentioned another point which is very important is that how much of that dollar that is the tourist is bringing is
Yes,
really staying here. You buy your ticket, you buy it on online, so it is a foreign company is getting that amount. The,
exactly.
fir- the You buy the hotel room, it is a foreign company that is getting that.
Let me add about the hotels. Persons don't know that, but there are certain maintenance and so on. Even the furniture, they come from overseas.
Yeah. Well, and the other day I was listening to a program. It was a pity I was not in the audience,
Yes.
even though I could have attended, but I didn't have the time. And they were asking about the sustainability, and people were saying, "Oh, what can we do to also get some of that amount to remain in Jamaica?" And um, furniture. And the person said, "Oh, but it is too many furnitures." And I said, "No. Nowadays, you can partner with another company that is making furniture, and you can make the furniture here. You may not make it for all the hotels, but you
Right.
can at least furnish 2 or 3 hotels. You may not furnish all the bedrooms, but you may furnish maybe the furniture for the beach side. You
Right.
may furnish so a lot of times we may think it into a bigger space, but you not need to look at what is possible in the moment as we speak. You understand? So that is why I'm saying we should be looking and doing research and getting what we need to be done in a particular space and what is feasible at that moment. We have to look at bigger markets too, because we are now focusing on the American market, but we have strong markets that are projected to grow significantly in the next years, like the
Brazil,
Asian
China,
market.
Africa.
China, Asian, Africa,
Yes.
the Middle East. The Middle Eastians, they have a lot of money. They're coming to a 5 and 6 and 7 stars hotel. I don't know
Yes.
if we have a 7 star hotel here, but some of our neighbors already have 7 stars hotel. So we have to start thinking in those lines. Do
Right.
we have the capacity for these airlines to come from um, long haul, longer destination to Jamaica? No. So as a government, they are responsible for infrastructure, and then the business will come. If you have to, just like you're marketing a business, the demand is there, and you market it because the tourist office is doing a good job in bringing the North Americans here. So the same job has to be replicated in other regions and bring the tourists here. And then you have business for your own local airlines to move around and take the passengers because people just need transportation.
Right. But my concern, though, Dr. Darby, is that we tend to look at, and we have to be careful, rather than looking at the bigger picture, we look at, say, oh, we carried probably 1 million. And not with no disrespect to Mr. Bartlett, the Minister of Tourism. While that is good, but what we need to look at, just like a man, all of them look saying a crowd in shop. You know, look for so much man get out of it. Well, one big crowd coming out, one big shop all is full of crowd, but you have another shop, probably only 2 persons are at that shop, but they're spending quite a bit. So for Jamaica, I think we need to look at what we are earning rather than just in numbers that we are carrying in. And thus not only what we are earning, but our net income from the tourism product.
Yeah, but I believe once you start looking at your own airline,
Right.
I think the Airbnb is doing an excellent job
Oh,
in
yes,
keeping
yes.
some of the funds here.
Right.
So I think that we can continue and then continue doing your research and really investing where, as you said, where the spending are well invested and that you can retain and become sustainable in the industry. An airline or 2 or 3, the cargo airlines is critical. And I think the future is there. I think it's all you need to do is focus on the right things that you have to do.
Yes.
Air transport is an industry that no one cannot say that it is not a sustainable industry. As I just mentioned already, 167 billion is the total GDP for Latin America and the Caribbean, and it provides 5.2 million jobs.
Right. Now, another thing I'd like to ask you is that now we have developments as far as aircraft is concerned with the long range aircraft, and I guess they can probably have a direct flight from Africa and these countries, Asia. To what extent are we prepared in terms of our airports in accommodating these long range aircraft?
Well, over the years, people focus on terminal building. But
Yes.
an airport is really the air side. And I think you are familiar with what I mean with air side. That is the other side where the airplanes are landing,
Right.
taking off, taxiing, and parking. Those areas are critical because they have to meet certain safety areas, and that means that you need to also accommodate the type of aircraft that you want to bring into your country. So if you want to bring in an aircraft like a 777, and it will carry 100 tons, then you need to have a runway long enough for it to be able to take off full loaded, to land with the safety areas as it should, with a wingspan. And if you only focus on the terminal building and you don't focus on the air side, you may not be in balance, because you may want to have a very large terminal that you can go 3-4 floors.
Fancy and beautiful.
But you don't have the air side, the physical area outside for you to have the taxi way, the runway, the parking, in meeting those requirements for the critical aircraft that you want to have in your airport. So I believe it is critical that the government look at these things and see, just like you have a lot of hotels, just like you have a lot of rooms, just like you have a very nice terminal, but do I have the airfield available for those planes to land and take off? Because and you also have to look at what exactly do you want as a strategic direction for your air transport in your country. Because are you wanting to be a hub? Do you want to be a sub-hub? Do you want to just be an airport that just takes some flights to satisfy your tourist product?
Yes.
Do you want to improve your air transportation system, where you have repair stations for your airplanes, where you have parking for your airplane overnight, where you can do maintenance, where you can do cargo.
The types of checks you can do.
Right, where you can do passengers and passengers transshipment and cargo transshipment. So I believe it is important that there is a strategy which direction you want to take your air transport into, and what is the strategies you put in place. Because other countries do it. We are, for example, you have these countries that are, or private companies that are operating and operating your airports. Some countries, it is in the law that you cannot have the same company operate your international airports, because they may have a monopoly, and
yes,
they want to
have an unfair edge.
So, because you have to also protect your passengers. It's not only the tourists, but your people want to travel back and forth. We are on an island.
Right.
How else can we get somewhere else if it is not to an airport?
All right, gonna go for the break now, but this discussion, I know some persons might think it is heavy for radio, but let me tell you what are we, right? As you ever said, what are we, including myself? Well, we talk about the roads that need to be fixed, and we talk about the infrastructure generally. We also have to look at the bigger picture, because if we're not looking at big things that can bring the money, come here, so road can't fix, picnic can't go school.
Yes,
so we are big,
these are productive sectors.
Yes.
One day, it is important that we share what happened in our neighbor country, Dominican Republic.
Yes.
How they have transformed the air transport industry, how they have built 10 international airports.
What?
That will become, that are the catalyst for developing new airports, new regions, new areas. And that is one of the reasons why they are now having so many airlines.
And the problem is, you don't have to get into this. Before we look at these big pictures, we are arguing who are fool and who are master. Listen, we need to talk about big things. And listen, we need to teach civics in our schools so the students can understand the bigger picture. Not just more money, because you can't get more money unless you have big industries. Exactly. Industries that can compete internationally, high skill. Everybody can plan yam, and when they plan yam and them things in other countries, they can do so scientifically and more efficient than we are doing. So, and I'm going to go for the break. Of course, listeners, we are talking to Dr. Meredith Derby. And I know you all guessed, yes, she's related to me. Yeah. All right. She's a business and air transport professional with a demonstrated history of working in the aviation and air transport industry. Dr. Derby is skilled in negotiation, business planning, entrepreneurship, quality management, and curriculum development. She's a strategic professional graduated from University of Colorado at Boulder, Leeds School of Business and Economics, University of Netherlands Antilles, in general management and air transportation management. Meredith was also chairman of the Air Policy Committee of Jamaica, president of the Small Business Association of Jamaica, also director of Aviation School and director of Airline Company. Welcome back. You're listening to Riddim FM, coming to you live from Kingston, Jamaica, broadcasting on the FM band at 102.1, 102.3, 102.5, 102.7, and 102.9 on the FM band. Of course, you can get us on the internet. Just go right there in the address box and type in www.riddimfmjamaica.com, www.riddimfmjamaica.com. You can also download the app on your phone so you can listen to the station. This station, this program is a university. There's a lot to learn, so you stay with us. Back to you. My very special guest is Dr. Meredith Derby, a lady who has years of experience, very qualified, and I hope the country can make good use of you. Now we only have about, say, probably 8 minutes left. I want you to tell me specifically how we can move forward. How do we encourage investors? I guess we'd need overseas and in the diaspora. I think it'd be a good thing to have whether it's a bond or shares offered to persons in the diaspora. This is one way I think they could help, because they were proud to have that national airline. Now we need to have it back.
Yes, I agree with you, and I believe important is that the infrastructure of the airport is being looked at, the runways, the taxiways, and the aprons, because if you're going to expand, you need to have space to accommodate your airlines. So it's not only having airlines, because right now, I don't know if we have enough space in the airports to accommodate an airline like Copa that wants to start with maybe 10 airplanes or 11 airplanes in the first 3 years and move to 25 airplanes. Because when you talk about an airline, you don't want to talk about an airline with space. You want to expand. Do we have the space in the airports that we have now to accommodate an air? When you go to America, to United States, Miami, and you look outside, what you see? You see parking, you see hangars, you see huge space for your cargo airplanes, you see. So that is how you need to think. You need to envision that. You cannot be narrow and small-minded when you think about aviation. You know, sometimes people are complacent where they are, but if you don't think big and where you want to be, because don't forget, Air Jamaica had 23 aircraft when it was in its heyday.
Right. I don't remember the amount, but in terms of staff, it's about 2,000 highly skilled persons, especially avionics, engineers. Yes. By the way, I understand that all of them have actually migrated. They're in the Middle East and in those places.
Yes, they migrated, and some of them are getting, because remember, it is a regulated age for you to be a pilot or mechanic. So majority of them may be reaching their retirement age. But what we need to do is to ensure that you have also the aviation school to train pilots in Jamaica.
Hold on, but before you go further, do we have a school in Jamaica now? I know persons sometimes join the army.
We have a school in Jamaica, even though a lot of people choose to send their children to study for pilots abroad, because of course they're not seeing the opportunities here, so they want to have an FAA pilot license. But if we have our own, they see airlines coming up here, it will be an incentive.
Yeah. By the way, are you still involved with that school, or is another school you are talking about?
Well, the school is still there, and there is also another school there. I think there is a third one, but they are not at the full potential as they should.
Yes.
Because as we just spoke, youngsters are preferred to go to the States and not necessarily do their pilot training in Jamaica.
Right. But it got cost foreign exchange. Very expensive.
Exactly.
Right.
Cost foreign exchange. As a matter of fact, after September 11,
Yes.
the schools could have been attracting also foreign students from other countries that were not able to get visa to study or to become a pilot in the States.
Hold on. You know what I just crossed my mind now? I got so have to leave, I should have you making a special speech at the budget debate as to the road ahead for Jamaica. Because the more I keep talking to you, I'm hearing the possibilities. Always say we don't have the money to do it, but if we start up and get going, there are persons from other countries who don't have no visa, they can't go over there. And then for those who are in the United States, they might love the idea of coming to Jamaica for a year or 2 or 3 and to be a tourist for 3 years rather than 2 weeks and study at the same time.
We have some countries in the region.
Yes.
What they did after COVID, and a lot of professionals started to work from home. They have created incentives to attract those people to come as working tourists in their country.
Oh, I hear you.
Away from home.
I hear you.
To them, because they will be paying the taxes.
Right.
They will be buying in your supermarket. They will be buying the car, and they will be also leisuring from your nice sun and your nice beaches while they are working still and collecting their monthly income. And there are islands in the region, in our Caribbean region here, that are really incentivizing and attracting a lot of those professionals that are working outside.
Right. But I tell you something, I don't hear enough from our university. I don't hear them discussing these things. You see, Jamaica, we don't get caught up, and I love music too, but sometimes we have to talk about a little business, and that's why we have this program. That's why I continue to encourage persons, because if you're going to enjoy yourself and love the dance hall, you have to make the money first. You have to make the money first. So we need to talk about those things that can help us to make the money. And I'm going to suggest that members of the private sector, we need to have a program like this, educating people, telling them about the possibilities. 2030 is not just a number 2030. If it's not real, if something will not be achieved by then it just becomes a number that we talk about. We talk about 2020, what do you call it, Vision 2030. Vision probably, well, are we blind already? We don't even realize it.
Well, I don't know where we are on the Vision 2030. I don't know how many of them goals we have really worked and achieved.
In terms of the airline and where we can go, the aviation industry, probably could be the spectacles for us. Probably that would help us see a little better.
Well, I think there are a lot of people that are doing their best. I don't want to criticize.
No, you're not. I'm the one who knocking them. And guess what? What you probably need to do, we need to speak out more, and I probably need to look at this matter. I know it's not sexy and what have you, and it's not gossipy, and enough we love the gossip and the susu and what have you. But let me tell you something. All gossip and susu brings more trouble. We need to discuss business things, where we can go. And then we can enjoy ourselves. Like that jump and enjoy carnival, but at the same time, we have to talk business. Well, time has slipped by. We have to leave it the final word. But I'm putting it to you. What I want you to do a paper for me, not too long, that I can distribute it to people right across Jamaica so they can learn as to what are the possibilities. I'm going to give you that challenge.
Okay. Well, the challenge is really that we can continue doing what we are doing, but we have to push harder.
Yes.
And recognizing that aviation is a strategically important sector that will support many of the sustainable development goals, and as such must be an integral part of the development strategy that Jamaica adopts. And then make sure that we understand that we can create jobs that are not necessary only for the call centers, but we can have our engineers for maintaining and repairing aircraft. We have pilots, several grades of pilots that are chief pilots, co-pilots, instructor pilots. We can have our catering services that has to be developed. If we have our local airlines here, ground handlers, the people that are doing the servicing on the ground, loading and offloading the planes, the customer service agents. So
Yes.
when you see it is not necessary only the flight attendants and the pilots, but it creates a lot of more opportunities and jobs if we can have local airlines operating in Jamaica.
I want to thank you very much, Dr. Meredith Derby. She's a business and air transport professional with a demonstrated history of working in the aviation and air transport industry. I'll have to call again. You sure have quite a bit to teach us and I will be calling on you to do a paper for me, which I will distribute, especially to our political leaders, business leaders, and so on. Because if I want like a dollar, but I even try power as by one like a share, I want a airline right now. Rather like a stay at the bank and next thing you know that it evaporate by all these charges, bank charges. I'm here making trouble. Dr. Meredith Derby, thank you very much. You have taught me quite a bit. And when I come off here, I won't call you doctor again because the listeners, she don't like all these titles at all.
Not at all.
I know.
Thank you.
Dr. Meredith Derby, all the best. You have a wonderful day.
Thank you, and thank you for having me on the
Yes.
program. And just to take away, in Japan, every $1 spent with you $900. Thank you. Bye-bye.